Waxer, Boyle, where have you two slackers been?
Sir, there is an explanation. We got sidetracked.
I think I see what sidetracked you.
In every arc, there's that one episode or moment that becomes a backbone to the story, and never has it been more profound in the earlier seasons of Clone Wars than this.
I'm listening.
There's an emotional maturity and nuance to this that many tend to overlook because it doesn't provide us with flashy colours or the contextually deep narratives we receive later in the show, and I want to get everybody who stops by here to acknowledge this and understand that without all of that, this is easily in the top 3 of the show's first outing.
That's a bold statement.
It gets you to understand the true sacrifice of war through simple, refined storytelling. It brings a new meaning to the clones and gets you to understand that not all heroes carry a laser sword.
Laser sword wielding maniac.
We begin on Obi-Wan and Mace going over their plan to get boots on the ground, and the droids are preparing for their arrival as equally with the use of organic shields, knowing that the Jedi and clones will never endanger their lives.
Why are you the way that you are?
Kenobi and Cody go over the plan in the ship with Ghost Company, and they hit the ground running, overcoming a defense placement, and then split up to search for the droids' locations and check for survivors. Cody takes Wooly, Waxer and Boyle to search the area, and they split up again with Cody and Wooly discovering the droids' positions and relaying this information back to Obi-Wan and Mace, with the droids sending out a probe that finds them as well, informing the tactical droid of what's best to do next. Meanwhile, Waxer and Boyle debate the meaning of war and the horrors around them until they encounter a young girl who quickly takes a liking to the troopers, and they suddenly become her protectors as they continue to search the town. The young girl finds her old home, and Waxer and Boyle let go of any reservations they had and comfort her in this moment, declaring that they'll look out for her and save her homeworld. As they're about to leave, however, and try and get back to Cody and Kenobi, they are greeted by a herd of Gutkur, native creatures to this world that the droids have weaponized through starvation.
That's a little fucked up, no?
Oh, it's super fucked up.
And thanks to the little one, they manage to slip away. The same, however, cannot be said for Kenobi and the rest of the clone forces, as they are met with the remaining numbers of Gutkur who attack the clones in gruesome fashion, and Obi-Wan manages to use the Force in this moment to save them and drive the creatures towards him. Getting Cody and the rest of the clones to shoot out a bridge just above them, trapping him inside with them, but as Obi-Wan manages to make it out, they think they're about to encounter another threat when it's Waxer and Boyle reaching out through the sewers. And it's at this moment that they reveal the young girl to Obi-Wan, who is able to converse with her, and she informs them of the best way to get to the square. The clones provide the distraction while Kenobi, Waxer and Boyle sneak in from the underground. The distraction works and they manage to free the prisoners, and the young girl is reunited with her uncle and revealed to be named Numa. Obi-Wan, Waxer and Boyle manage to destroy the remaining cannons in the square, but are halted in their efforts by the tactical droid in his tank. Numa comes to Obi-Wan's aid in this moment, and this drives the people to rise up against the droids, tearing the tactical one apart.
Oh, it's super fucked up.
We round out this escapade with Mace arriving to take over the ground assault, with Waxer and Boyle bidding farewell to Numa, and in her native language calls them brothers in a tender moment as she shows her appreciation for what they've just done. The emotional beats in this one are profound, and honestly, this is a perfect example of what the Clone Wars can offer as a series entirely. The relationships built between the Republic and Twi'leks here is sturdy enough on its own, but to add the effect of Master Dai's attempt before this and how moving that was, makes this a deeply personal affair for all parties involved. As you realise while watching this in the chronological order that this was the Republic's first major defeat when they lost Ryloth. Master Dai and his forces were just thrown in with little preparation for the relentless nature to the droids and how vast their stronghold was. The Jedi have seemingly learned from this, however, and have opted for a more tactical approach by sending the rescue party in waves, with each party being met with an intense opposition. We began last week with Ahsoka and Anakin making the opening, now Kenobi clearing the path, and Mace is set to finish it all, but each one has had to overcome some serious hurdles, and it makes this feel like a desperate moment whilst adding growth and necessary character development for the primary focuses of this series. The clincher of this one, however, isn't strictly the desperation of the Republic's assault, though that does help it, but it's to see the impact of this on a young child, and it is heartbreaking, and the animation did an incredible job to convey this. Numa does return to us much later in the timeline during the events of Rebels, where Hera is reunited with her father Sham Syndulla as part of his faction against the Empire, but here she was used brilliantly. She provided support to Kenobi and the clones whilst retaining that innocence that a child would possess, and to see as well that the light inside of her hadn't been lost through war was beautiful. And to know that she'll continue the work of Waxer and Boyle later down the road to protect this planet is a great example of subtle continuity, especially as she dons some 212 armor in her outfit by that point, and Waxer does paint a little image of her on his helmet as a reminder of this mission, and it tugs on those heartstrings like nobody's business.
Am I crying? No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
The fact as well that she got Boyle to come around in this episode and drop the attitude was another excellent moment of writing, accompanied with her understanding of what it could do for her people when she ran out to save Obi-Wan from being obliterated and uniting her people to rise up. Essentially, all of this meets with the title of this episode, and it's all for the innocence of Ryloth. The stakes involved here are heavy, and I'm thankful that Master Dai's episode wasn't undermined, as you acknowledge how much it took then, and everything they threw in the assault of Ryloth initially was lost. So the assortment of troops and Jedi that met the Seppies here makes this victory feel earned, and through this, it humanizes the clones as well, in a way this show had only scratched in previous entries, and will continue to press in later stories like the Umbara arc. Waxer and Boyle easily became fan favourites from this, and return a few times throughout the show, but one moment I absolutely adore with this is the paternal instinct that comes from Waxer, and how it feels akin to both Cutler Quain and Hunter from the Bad Batch in what they both do for the lives of children. Showing the clones do possess compassion and generosity here makes the night of Order 66 even more brutal, when you remember that they were forced to commit the act of murdering hundreds of children in the name of peace, when here they're providing peace and order and literally putting smiles on children's faces. It's a stark contrast, and a deliberate one at that, I think, when you consider that this set of episodes were released not long after Revenge of the Sith. The music was stellar, the animation hit another level for this season, and the world building was incredible. The visual storytelling cannot be overlooked here either. When we began with the dark, brooding atmosphere around the environment and the natural threats against our heroes, coupled with the droids using the inhabitants of this world as a weapon, and the droids themselves, helps to set the tone by the end, with the sun peeking out as a ray of hope for Numa and her people that the sun will shine on this world once more, was excellent, and this episode is for me the prime example of show don't tell. As you can tell, I have a lot of good things to say about this, and I will always remain that way regarding it, as it's a perfect balance of action, story, development, and a plot progression with a basic concept, necessary dialogue, and a heartwarming tale that stays with you long after you've watched it. That's all I've got for this week, however, and I greatly appreciate you stopping by. If you like this, leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more like this down the road, and until then everyone, take care, and may the Force be with you.